Let's look at the big news, which is Caitlyn Clark has been named the Associated Press Female Athlete of
Honors. More awards, racking them up. And we're going to start with the AP, the Associated Press, which has named her the AP Female Athlete of the Year following her impact.
Reactions are raging as Caitlyn Clark wins Female Athlete of the Year. Is this a celebration of brilliance or the start of a bitter competition as Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins, both stars in their own right, now confront the shadow of Clark's unstoppable rise?
You seriously can't make this stuff up. Caitlyn Clark adds yet another award to the mantelpiece, while Juju Watkins, USC Paige Bueckers, immediately following an NFL game, puts up massive rating.
As the celebration surrounding her accomplishment intensifies, Caitlyn Clark's name has come to represent domination in women's basketball, and her most recent accolade, the Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year award, further solidifies her position as a cultural and athletic legend. There have been rumors of rivalry and jealousy, especially from others who are in the same spotlight as her. Two such individuals whose careers are currently being likened to Clark's historic ascent are Paige Bueckers, the dynamic guard from the University of Connecticut, and Juju Watkins, a rising star from the University of Southern California.
Caitlyn Clark. Earlier today, we're talking about Sports Business Journal Business Person of the Year. Today, later, Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year.
From her first season in the WNBA to her record-breaking performances in college basketball, 2024 has been nothing short of historic. She has enthralled audiences and defied expectations, leading the Iowa Hawkeyes to unprecedented heights and bringing millions of people to games that previously struggled to draw an audience. She broke more than 60 rookie records during her smooth transition to the WNBA, and her star power was evident as she attracted the kind of audience and sales of merchandise usually reserved for male athletes. She became a cultural phenomenon, landing deals with companies like Wilson Gatorade and Nike, further solidifying her status as the face of contemporary women's sports.
Quite a ways. This isn't a Sports Illustrated scenario where we have one person making up a random WNBA Player of the Year award just to make other people feel good. This is a legit accolade.
However, every accolade and endorsement comes with its own set of difficulties. Fans and critics alike are quick to analyze every move Clark makes, and her peers, other exceptionally talented athletes, are unavoidably brought up in the discussion. Despite their own stellar performances, players like Bueckers and Juju Watkins have found themselves in the center of this dynamic, being compared to Clark in a way that some claim is unfair and unavoidable.
AP Female Athlete of the Year, Caitlyn received 35 votes. Simone Biles was second with 25. Folks, what did I say when it came to the Time of the Year cover? What did I say when it came to Time of the Year Sports Person of the Year? It was either Caitlyn Clark, and the only person who even comes to mind for even having a sniff at that title would be Simone Biles.
Paige Bueckers' journey has been equally impressive as a standout player for UConn. Her skill, vision, and team-leading abilities have drawn comparisons to legends like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, but the narrative surrounding her appears to have changed as she continues to deliver on the court. Fans have noticed that her spotlight has slightly dimmed as Clark's star shines brighter, and there has been heated discussion about whether Paige feels overshadowed. As a freshman at USC, Juju Watkins, on the other hand, is already establishing herself as a formidable force. Her dynamic style of play and ability to step up in crucial situations make her one of the most captivating young players to watch, but even her standout performances are frequently evaluated. The pressure to meet Clark's benchmark is tremendous, particularly for young athletes, and it begs the question of how these comparisons impact players' growth and emotional well-being. The way that the media magnifies these rivalries is what makes this dynamic even more fascinating. Even while these athletes may respect one another's skills, titles like Paige versus Caitlyn or Juju's turn to shine fabricate stories that set them against one another. Being compared to an athlete like Clark is a testament to their skill, but it also puts them in an almost impossible race to outshine a star whose trajectory seems limitless, while Clark has maintained her focus and grace amidst the attention. Social media adds another layer as fans frequently take sides, creating divisions where there may be none for Paige and Juju. The experiences of Paige and Juju illustrate the difficulties of navigating a sport that is at last receiving the prominence it deserves. The rise of women's basketball indicates that more players are becoming well-known, but it also means that athletes like Paige and Juju are competing for recognition and attention more fiercely than ever before. This might either increase their motivation to do greater things or put them under needless pressure that hinders their performance. The larger discussion about how we honor female athletes adds another level of complexity to this tale. Although Clark deserves all of her praise, does her domination overshadow other players who should also receive praise for Paige? It is important to recognize her capacity to guide UConn to enormous triumphs and attract millions of fans. Likewise, Juju's effect as a freshman at USC and her ability to infuse every game with enthusiasm and excitement are stories worth telling, but despite their own achievements, both athletes find themselves functioning in Clark's shadow, which can feel confining. The story of Clark, Paige, and Juju reflects a broader trend in sports. As women's basketball gains popularity, so does the discourse surrounding its stars. This is a positive development, but there are drawbacks as well. Whether genuine or imagined, these athletes' rivalry has the power to either advance the sport or cause needless divisions. Finding a balance between acknowledging each player's distinct contributions and the overall advancement they represent is crucial. For Paige and Juju, the challenge is not to compete against Clark, but to establish their own legacy in a sport that is finally gaining attention. As the 2024 season goes on, everyone will be watching to see how these athletes handle the opportunities and pressures that come with their increasing fame. Clark's Associated Press Award has undoubtedly sparked this conversation. Caitlyn Clark's win as Female Athlete of the Year has far-reaching consequences that extend beyond the immediate joy of her accomplishments for Juju Watkins and Paige Bueckers. Since high school, Paige Bueckers has been hailed as one of the most promising basketball players of her generation, and her career at the University of Connecticut has only enhanced her reputation. While Clark's accolades shine brightly, the stories of Paige and Juju provide a nuanced counterbalance to the tale of triumph. The buzz surrounding Clark's success has amplified the comparisons that are inevitable in a world that is becoming more and more fixated on sports narratives. Although many people admire PA's ability to perform under pressure and her vision, scoring prowess, and leadership have led to comparisons to basketball legends, the narrative that frequently surrounds her these days is one of a player trying to regain the spotlight that Caitlyn Clark appears to have taken over for Paige. This dynamic is more about public opinion than personal jealousy, even if she made a substantial role to UConn's success by coaching her team to important wins. The media frequently frames her accomplishments in relation to Clark. Headlines frequently ask whether Paige can regain her position at the top or if she is still the face of women's college basketball. This framing can feel reductive because it reduces an athlete's individual accomplishments to a comparison rather than praising them for what they are. As a freshman at USC, Juju Watkins is in a slightly different position and is still establishing her legacy. However, her early performances have already demonstrated that she is a player to watch. Juju's ability to deliver electrifying plays and her natural charisma have made her a fan favorite, and many view her as a future star of the WNBA, yet even in her breakout moments, she is often compared to Clark, a player with a few more years of experience and accolades under her belt. For Juju, these comparisons might feel premature. After all, she is at the beginning of her collegiate career, while Clark has already made her mark in both college basketball and the WNBA. Still, the media and fans alike cannot resist framing Juju's potential as something that exists in contrast to Clark's accomplishments. This creates a challenging dynamic for Juju, who must navigate the pressures of living up to lofty expectations while also forging her own path. What makes the relationship between these three athletes so compelling is the broader context of women's basketball. For years, the sport struggled to gain the recognition and respect it deserved. Players like Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, and Sue Bird paved the way for the current generation of stars, but It is only recently that women's basketball has started to achieve mainstream popularity. Although rivalries are an essential component of sports storytelling, they may occasionally lead to needless conflict. Clark, Paige, and Juju are members of this new wave, and their stories are entwined with the development of the sport itself. The media's influence in constructing these narratives cannot be understated. There is a silver lining to this story. Paige and Juju probably respect each other's skills, but the way their stories are presented frequently pits them against one another. Fans also play a part in this dynamic as social media turns into a battlefield for arguments about who is the best player. This can occasionally overshadow the collective progress being made in women's basketball. Another layer to this story is the impact on the athlete's mental health. For Paige and Juju, being constantly compared to Clark can add an extra layer of pressure to an already demanding career. The expectation is to not only perform at a high level but also to outshine someone as accomplished as Clark is a heavy burden. Make the focus on Clark more dynamic. The fact that fans and the media are so interested in Paige and Juju's stories is evidence of the sport's increasing popularity and that it is finally receiving the recognition and respect it has long deserved. This is a win for all of the players who have battled to bring women's basketball into the mainstream of sports discourse, not just for these three athletes. Clark's win as Female Athlete of the Year also begs the question of whether individual achievements are the only factor used to determine success in sports or whether Clark's influence on the sport as a whole is equally important. Her success was surely aided by her ability to raise awareness of women's basketball. Her unprecedented viewing figures, her massive merchandise sales, and endorsement deals have elevated the sport in ways that go beyond what happens on the court. But sometimes this emphasis on impact can overshadow the individual brilliance of other players, like Paige and Juju, who deserve recognition in their own right. For Paige, the goal is to continue building on her legacy at UConn while preparing for a future in the WNBA. She has the talent and the drive to remain one of the sport's top players, but she must also navigate the expectations that come with being compared to someone like Clark. For Juju, the focus is on becoming a force to be reckoned with as she accumulates more experience and keeps putting on exceptional performances. For Clark, maintaining her momentum is the difficulty since she has the ability to emerge as one of the key figures of her generation. Receiving the Female Athlete of the Year title is a noteworthy accomplishment, but it also carries the responsibility to keep performing at your best. The rivalry between Clark, Paige, and Juju, whether real or perceived, is a microcosm of the growing pains that accompany the rise of women's basketball as the sport continues to gain popularity, even though Clark has already demonstrated that she can step up to the plate. The fight for recognition and attention will only get fiercer as more athletes take center stage, but this is ultimately a good thing. Rivalries encourage interest, and growth is fueled by interest. As we consider Caitlyn Clark, the more people interact with these tales, the more chances there will be for women's basketball to succeed. The consequences of victory. The rivalry between Clark, Paige, and Juju is ultimately more about cooperation than competition because each of these athletes brings something special to the table, and their combined efforts are what make women's basketball so thrilling to watch while the media and fans take notice. It is evident that her story is about more than just individual success. It is about the development of a sport that is finally receiving the recognition it deserves. Paige and Juju's journeys are equally significant as they represent the diversity of talent and potential in women's basketball together, and their influence will last for years to come. May emphasize analogies. The true tale lies in the advancements made by the sport overall, which is something to be proud of. Caitlyn Clark in their own unique ways, Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins are revolutionizing women's basketball, and Clark victories win as Female Athlete of the Year is a landmark event. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories on your favorite athletes. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more updates and insights into the world of sports. Paige and Juju's incredible talent ensures that the sport's future remains brighter than ever. What are your thoughts on this rivalry, real or perceived?